Hey there, Bruce, and welcome back to Remember 11, Age of Infinity. Let's just kick off from where we left off in the last episode, shall we? We just finished talking about the newspaper article that showed that we're about to die, so we're going to forget about that because it's inconvenient. Let's move on. I finished eating dinner, so I'm going to bed. Mayuzumi muttered as she picked up her blanket and made her way to the top bunk. The bowl she'd slammed on the table just a while ago was completely empty. I mean, rations, you know, you got to make the most of it. After a while, the rest of us finished our humble meals as well. Well then, after taking out his portable ashtray and putting out a cigarette, Yomogi stood up. Portable ashtray? That's cool. It's getting much too late already. So make sure the fire doesn't go out. We should take turns sleeping. I'll take the first shift. But it's okay. You should get some sleep as well. Slowly, I stood up. I caught a glimpse of the watch on my right wrist. It was already approaching midnight. Hey! Yuni tugged on my hand. He looked at me with eyes like an abandoned kitten's. Kokoro? Can we sleep together? I couldn't help but smile gently at him. Great idea. His face lit up immediately. Two of us both squeezed into the bottom bunk. Covering ourselves with blankets, we curled up into a ball. Soon I could hear Yuni's quiet, peaceful breathing as he fell asleep. His sleeping face was as peaceful and adorable as an angel's. His body was warm. I really wanted to believe his warmth was not just a dream. Hey, Yomogi-san. I called out to him as he sat with his back to me. What's wrong? I want to make sure, just one more time. Did I really call myself Yukido Satoru? After a short pause. Yeah. I see. Good night. Good night. I closed my eyes. But with that said, I couldn't fall asleep at all. Whenever I tried to be still, endless thoughts ran through my mind, going deeper and deeper, like an endless bog. Even if I kept thinking about it over and over again, I was still so far from coming up with an answer. What had happened to me? Yomogi said that I had multiple personalities, the same thing Utsumi had told me in that dream when I was in SPHIA. Was that really the truth? Was the time I spent in SPHIA even a dream? Is the Kokoro lying here on the bed in the shelter cabin even real? Which one is the dream and which one is reality? Or perhaps both of them are a dream? Or perhaps both are a reality? When I lost consciousness in the shelter cabin, who was it that was controlling my body? Yomogi, Mayuzumi, even Yuni confirmed it, so it's probably not just a mistake. It appears the person that was controlling my body introduced himself as Yukido Satoru. Meanwhile, when I was in SPHIA, my body also belonged to a Yukido Satoru as well. Multiple personality disorder can't possibly explain that. And both felt too real to be explained as dreams. So then what are they? I can only think of one answer there. You're swapping bodies. Like that 13 going on 30 movie. Both are reality. Multiple personality disorder alone cannot explain what was happening to me right now. Because I was still me while I was inside Satoru's body. As well, there is still a connection to my own memories while I was there. So it was probably natural to suddenly come up with an explanation. My consciousness had been mutually switching between the world here and the world there. Maybe that's what DID is. Maybe people are switching personalities with other people. But regardless of whether that sounds logical, I couldn't think of any other explanation. A bitter laugh echoed inside my heart. It's just like a science fiction novel, but this is reality. Perhaps I and this person named Satoru are exchanging consciousnesses with each other for some reason. When I'm in my body, he's in his body. When I'm in his body, he's in mine. That must be it. Duh. Now that I think about it, the last thing I remember about SPHIA was being in the bathroom. At that time, the bathroom lights had suddenly gone out. I distinctly remember feeling a sense of danger then. What exactly happened after that? If we are indeed exchanging consciousness with each other, I wonder if that Satoru person is alright after that. I want to believe that he's okay. It would seem that I've already accepted that our consciousnesses are switching. No, perhaps I could even say I'm forcing myself to accept it, because if I didn't, it would have driven me insane already. I tried to come up with an explanation to calm myself down first. How long is this phenomenon going to go on for? If only this were the last time, then would that be fine? But it wasn't guaranteed that there wouldn't be another switch while I was sleeping, leading to me waking up at SPHIA once again. And I had no idea whether the transfer would happen again after that. Since we had no clue why this phenomenon was happening in the first place, after the next transfer, it was possible that they might just stop happening altogether. If that's the case, then I'd end up who knows where in some stranger's body for the rest of my life. If the other person was a girl, it wouldn't be so bad, but it had to be a boy? As if I'm androgynous. But maybe it should be called a gender identity disorder. If I was actually sick, I could accept that. But this isn't some sickness. Something's going on here. Something that I can't even imagine. How much time has passed as I thought about these things over and over again? I can hear the faint sound of the blizzard blowing outside, not seeming like it was going to subside anytime soon. As I rolled over in my bed, I sneaked a peek at Yomogi. He had told us that we were going to take turns watching the fire, but he didn't seem to want to switch. He just simply sat in front of the red flame, staring contently. He had a somewhat serious look on his face. Was he not sleepy? Or was he just looking out for us? I couldn't seem to sleep either. I might as well switch shifts with him. When I was just about to tell him, "Hey," I heard a shuffling sound from the top bunk. Is Mayuzumi up too? Give me some tea. You weren't asleep? What does it matter to you? Sighing, Yomogi stood up to boil some water. When Yomogi went to prepare the tea, Mayuzumi came down from her bed. I quickly closed my eyes. She took a quick glance over at me and Yuni. Geez, why am I pretending to sleep anyway? She can sleep soundly, huh? Must be nice to be so carefree. You were just sleeping soundly yourself until a few moments ago. I wanted to say that, but I stopped myself. Hurry up and go to sleep. You're not sleeping? Don't tell anyone about this, but the truth is, I'm just waiting patiently for my chance to pay her a little midnight visit. What? Yomogi's really that kind of man? My body shook with fear in my bed. Scumbag. Her voice was cold. Article 174 of the criminal law, a person who commits an indecent act in public shall be punished by imprisonment with work for not more than 6 months. A fine of not more than 300,000 yen, misdemeanor imprisonment without work, or a petty fine. I can't stand dirty jokes. Oh, it's just a joke. Well, it scared me. That's really too bad. But don't you worry, I wouldn't go after you even by mistake. Hurry up and make some tea. I'm just kidding. Don't talk ever again. Complaining under his breath, Yomogi went downstairs. Sighing a little, Mayuzumi sat down in front of the stove. Pretending to be asleep, I shook my head slightly. Mayuzumi was the kind of person I couldn't get along with. She's the kind of person no one can get along with, so I kept trying my best to avoid her. She herself probably hated me too. I didn't know if this was bad for things to have developed like this. Just like Yomogi had said, we were in a situation where everyone must help each other. If I told her how I felt about her, then things between us might get to an unsalvageable point, but I just can't get along with her. Why? I can just barely hear her low, quiet voice, even though it's already been so long. This isn't like me at all. Is she talking to herself? Her voice is no longer as sharp as it was before. For some reason, it almost sounded lonely. Intrigued, I opened my eyes to take a peek. Curled up in a ball in front of the stove, Mayuzumi stared fixedly at something she was holding in her hands. A photo? My eyes looked even closer. It's gotta be Satoru. No, it's not. In the photo was Mayuzumi. A younger Mayuzumi. Like a carefree younger girl, she looked at the camera with a truly blissful smile on her face. An expression so calm and peaceful as if the only person she trusted completely was looking at her. The Mayuzumi in the photo shone so brightly. I wonder what thoughts were running through her head as she gazed at that photo. Satoru. My heart skipped a beat when I heard those quiet words. Just now I was certain I heard Mayuzumi whisper Satoru. Just as I thought, she knows Yukido Satoru. I wanted to push her harder to get the truth, but for some reason I just couldn't do it. Perhaps I just felt too guilty digging into her past like this, but plus, even if I ask, I probably still won't get an answer from her. I gently closed my eyes. Mayuzumi was also fighting. She acts like she's tough, but in reality, she too is troubled and anxious. I'm not the only one suffering. I held Yuni's body tightly in my arms, so that I wouldn't forget this warmth if something were to happen to us, so that I could remember that I was not alone. If nothing else, just being here right now is enough for me. January 12th, the second day. How many days are there? At the bottom of the bottom of the bottom of the deep, deep cave. On the other side of the other side of the other side of the grim, grim darkness. Beyond, beyond, beyond the deep abyss. It felt as if I were falling, anywhere and everywhere. That sense of loss, no, that's not right. Nothing had been lost, there was nothing to begin with. Not a thing. There wasn't a single thing here. Emptiness. Pure emptiness. There was nothing else other than this pure emptiness. But if indeed there were nothing here whatsoever, then what about me, the person experiencing this emptiness? Who was this existence known as I? This emptiness is like zero. Does zero really exist? If it really exists, then what is this zero? If I don't exist, then when does one actually become one? And like that, from the interval between 0 and 1. I was forcibly ripped out. You mean, how did the universe start? Ow! What? Oh man, we're back here. When I came to my senses, my head was lying on a desk. I was holding a pen in my right hand, as if I'd fallen asleep without realizing it, but we're left-handed. Oh yeah, the guy must be right-handed. A deep, deep, dreamless sleep. That's why the watch is relevant. Now, maybe I did have a dream. My head was all muddled and confused. It was as if some puzzling, incomprehensible image was spinning over and over in my mind like a vortex. It was not the same as that feeling you get when you just wake up. It was a different feeling of confusion. In fact, if I'd just woken up, it would be surprising if my mind were clear, although I'd feel some slight tiredness. Ugh. I wouldn't understand it too well, even if I thought about it. Anyway, I fell asleep and then woke up when I knocked my head on the desk. Isn't that a little strange? I was sleeping in the bed. I don't remember moving toward the desk at all. Now that I think about it, there is no desk in the cabin. Then what is this place? SPHIA? I thought you'd be used to it by now. As I started to panic, I calmed myself down and scanned my surroundings, pondering. There was a bed, a desk, and a closet in my room. They were all very tidy and organised, giving off a clean, cosy feeling, but at the same time they also somehow felt hollow and fake because of it. As if things like human warmth had been ripped out of them by the roots. Ah, I finally understood. This is SPHIA. I look at the back of my hand. These hands were rugged and large, not like the hands which belonged to the uyukawa Kokoro I was familiar with. I transferred again, huh? I muttered as I let out a sigh. Suddenly I realised I had to pee. I stood up and opened the door to the unit bath near the exit of the room. Each room was equipped with not only a shower but a toilet as well. I rubbed my sleepy eyes as I reached for my belt and froze. This is a man's body. So in order to relieve myself, that would mean... I looked down timidly. There's a strange feeling between my legs. In other words, I have to use my hands and hold on to that? I have no other choice. Because right now my body is a man's body. I'm just doing this in order to take care of normal biological process, that's all. It's so weird that she's so weird about it. She never touched a wang before. I'm not touching it for any weird reason or anything. I understood all that in my mind, but still. I burst out of the washroom and fell prostrate in the middle of the bedroom. Fell prostate. Calm down, me. Deep breath, take a deep breath. Maybe it's because I was just too shaken up, but I couldn't even take proper deep breaths. If I'd paid more attention to myself, I would have noticed that it was almost as if I were giving birth. An uncomfortable feeling was radiating from my abdomen. An intense urge to pee was building and building there. What? Oh no. Oh no. If this keeps up, I won't be able to call myself an adult. I'm already 20 years old, a grown-up, an adult. And as an adult, no, as a woman, no, as a human being, I cannot, must not wet my pants. That's right. It's just going to the washroom, that's all. No big deal at all. I crept back into the bathroom. What am I doing talking to myself? That question suddenly crossed my mind, but I pushed it to the back of my head. Yeah, just do it like always. Just pull down your pants and then sit down on the toilet. Don't look down. Just do that and everything will be alright. I can do it. Cheering myself on, I lowered my pants, just like I've always done. And just like a normal trip to the bathroom, I took a seat on the... And once again, I burst out of the washroom. I fell to my knees, hanging my head in the middle of the bedroom. When I usually go to the washroom, I never had to do all this hard work just to aim. Men have to perform one extra step when they go to the bathroom. Uyukawa Kokoro, in the winter of her 20th year, learned this valuable lesson. But I didn't need to know. I don't want to know. What should I do? Stop being a fucking sook and just take a piss? Go. I can't take it anymore. Writhing, I made my way toward the bathroom once again. If someone were to see me like this, I probably would never be able to get married. But I tried not to think about it. If I even thought about it, I'd probably burst into tears. I made up my mind and lowered myself onto the toilet. So tired. I collapsed onto the bed, completely exhausted. It's the first time in my life that I've gotten this worn out just going to the washroom. If this personality exchange keeps going from now on, then I might have no choice but to get used to this. But this is just too much for a young lady like me. There's no way I can get used to it that easily. Wait a second, so that means... I just realized something truly horrifying. The owner of this body I'm currently in other words, the personality of Yukido Satsuro, is probably inside my body at the shelter cabin right now. So that means he has freedom to do whatever he wants with my body. I shuddered all over from the thought of some man I never met fooling around with my body. No. I groaned instinctively. Feeling somewhat irritated, I paced back and forth in the room like a caged animal, but I still couldn't seem to calm myself down. That's when I noticed the note that had been left on the table. I grabbed and held it tightly in my hand. Oh, it's from Satoru. I'm not really sure if I should say nice to meet you or thanks for visiting again. I doubt I've ever known anyone that I've had this much trouble coming up with a greeting for. I'm Yukido Satoru. I think you've already noticed it as well, but it looks like we're currently experiencing some kind of personality exchange. I don't know the exact reason for this. What I do know is that you're a woman named Uyukawa Kokoro. It was a note from the owner of this body, Yukido Satoru. I plopped down on the bed and kept on reading anxiously. The first thing I want to clear up is about your body. How do I say this? I'll be careful not to touch or look at anything unless it's absolutely necessary. I don't know what your impression of me is when you saw my face, but I'm a gentleman, so please don't worry about that. Those words, it's as if you saw right through my worries. I patted my chest in relief. I don't know if he really didn't look or touch my body, but at least he anticipated what I was worried about, so I can see he's someone who's concerned about me. That made me feel more at ease. I continued reading the note. Forgive me for jumping right into business, but I have a few things I must discuss with you. The first thing I want to do is make sure that what's happening is really a personality exchange. From what I can tell, it seems that during the time my consciousness leaves this body, your consciousness takes my place within it. Likewise, whenever your consciousness leaves your body, my consciousness takes possession of it. As if we're two drivers alternating between two different cars. But I don't have any conclusive evidence as that this is what's happening. Right now, all I have to go on are the words of the people around me. I heard that at SPHIA, my body addressing itself as Uyukawa Kokoro while I wasn't around. And then at the shelter cabin, Yomogi-san told me that the owner of the body was someone named Uyukawa Kokoro. So if we're to believe what they said, then we have no choice but to accept that your consciousness and mine are coming and going between each other's bodies. But, even though I know Uyukawa Kokoro's face and voice, I haven't actually had a chance to communicate with your actual personality. If we use cars as the analogy, then I'm familiar with Uyukawa Kokoro, the car, but I've yet to meet you, the driver within. I won't beat around the bush. The point is, I have my doubts that this personality called Uyukawa Kokoro really exists, so I was hoping you'd have some kind of evidence behind that proves you actually do exist. Since we can't talk to each other directly, can you at least write down some kind of reply on this paper this note is written on? Anything will do. Just leave some evidence behind that the Uyukawa Kokoro personality controlling my body exists. Also, if you can, I'd like you to record the time. The time I'm interested in is the time you took over my body. From this, we can determine whether the transfer of consciousness has happened at a fixed schedule or if it occurs randomly. If we could figure out some kind of pattern to it, then wouldn't it be more convenient for both of us? We'd be able to realize when there's one more minute until the transfer and finish up whatever we need to do by then. But if it happens at random, well, we'll figure something out. And when that turns out to be the case, even realizing that the transfers are happening at random is a step forward, right? Ah, right. That reminds me, I forgot to write down something very important. The truth is no, maybe my body would be more accurate. The truth is my body is... Is that it? I turned the paper around. The back was completely blank. It was the end of the note. What was he thinking? Jeez. I slammed my hand down on the table. What is up with that? My body is... Maybe he transferred during writing it. Would ending a note like that at a place like that just make me even more anxious? Was he an idiot? Jeez. If it really was something really important, then write it down at the beginning of the note. We don't even know when the next personality exchange will happen. I went silent with those words as I stared at the note. Ah, so that's why. The note was probably unfinished because the personality exchange occurred while he was still writing it. And so, I read over the note once again. Guess why you had the pen in your hand? He started the letter off with his concerns about me, and he kindly tried to ease my worries before continuing it to more important matters. Thanks to that, the creepy feeling I had about him a few moments ago disappeared. To initiate contact with this character named Satoru, whom I knew absolutely nothing about, and be able to know some things about him, was a big step toward reassuring me. I'm glad he seems to be someone I can count on. Personality exchange isn't usually a situation that people have to consider, but it has indeed happened. If my partner in this had been a wimp who only freaked out and went, what do I do, then we really would have no chance of making it out, because that's what we're doing. But, it doesn't seem like somebody would do that, at least for now. I look at the note and scribe with those logical words. With my fingers, I trace the neat, organised handwriting. I can indeed feel a sense of partnership from it. Partners, huh? Satoru is going through the same unexplainable circumstances as I am. I have a friend who will do his best no matter what he's up against. Alright then. I gather up my willpower and jump to my feet with energy. Just as I thought, having a friend with me is more encouraging and reassuring than anything else. I could feel a bit, just a tiny bit of courage building inside of me. Oh no, I forgot. Satoru's note asked me to write down the time. I glanced at the alarm clock sitting on the bedside table. The hands coated with fluorescent paint pointed at 1:17. It's already past noon. Did I ever sleep? I was overwhelmed by a lot of things that happened yesterday, but nevertheless, I slept for way too long last night. It was really just too shameless of me. No way. I shook my head in a hurry as Lin's annoying smile appeared in my mind. Now, about how long has it been since I woke up? So the time it took me to go to the washroom and read the note was about, I think it was about 10 minutes. There was a pen lying on the table. I turned the note over and wrote on the other side of it. The transfer happened at 1:07 PM. I have to write a response to his note, but I put the pen down for now. Maybe it's because I felt relieved, but I suddenly felt absolutely famished. My stomach rumbled loudly. Do all guys' stomachs make such loud noises? I muttered as I headed toward the kitchen to find something to eat. I mean, I can't just leave my partner starving like this, right? Can't you write more for him? You can't just write it's 1:07 and then fuck off. I mean, you did a lot more than that. Oh, Yukido-kun, I was just about to come and get you. I bumped into Utsumi as soon as I left the room. I gave her a slight bow. Good morning. Well, I guess it's already afternoon. Well, everyone got up pretty late, so we're just about to have breakfast. And I gave her a slight smile after pausing for a moment. Utsumi's eyes narrowed. As if she was looking at a child who had just gotten a skinned knee, her expression held a mix of sadness and affection. Is that so? I thought I'd overslept. She looked like she had something she wanted to say, but she just smiled. You're starving, right? Yep, I'm famished. Let's eat together then, Fuyukawa-san. Thank you. So she knows it's us now. She nodded and headed toward the dining area. I too followed behind. Utsumi addressed me as Fuyukawa Kokoro. She probably thinks that the other personality named Fuyukawa Kokoro was surfaced. To acknowledge the existence of another personality and accept it like everything was normal, that's not something that can be easily done. She does seem to be very well versed in psychology, but for some reason, that doesn't feel like it's the only reason. An aura of true benevolence, or perhaps an air of all-accepting kindness, that's the kind of impression you get from her. Hi, Satoru. Yuni, who was already at the table, gave me a friendly smile. The frightened look he had just yesterday had disappeared. Beside Yuni was Inabushi, no, Hattori, who also gave me a quick bow when she saw me. Every time I see her, my heart starts a bit. It still feels like Inabushi Kaiko is right here in front of me. But it seems her personality is settled on that of Suzukage Hattori for now. Inabushi Kaiko is nowhere to be seen. It would be cruel to treat Hattori like a ruthless murderer. I greeted them with a smile to conceal my thoughts. Good morning, you two. I too sat down at the dining table. Hey, so what are you doing just now? Just now? What's he talking about? Yeah, just now you went out from the terrace, right? So what were you doing? It must be something Satoru had done. While I was still asleep in the shelter cabin, Satoru had already woken up, here at SPHIA, and done something. And of course, there's no way I would know about it. It's a secret. Ah, come on, tell me. Nope. Stingy. Yuni-kun, you shouldn't talk like that. We each have our private things to deal with, right? Even though he's complaining, Yuni doesn't seem to care all that much. Carly, I'm starving. Yes, just hold on a bit longer. Yuni's attention had long since shifted to her stomach. Here we go, enjoy. Utsumi brought the meal out on a tray. On the menu was toast, bacon and eggs and tuna salad. The savoury aroma of the toast rose to our noses and made our stomachs groan in hunger. Make sure you eat plenty, okay? The four of us started our late breakfast. According to the clock, it should be considered lunch already, but let's not worry about such details. It's so good, Carly. Hattori nodded enthusiastically at Yuni's compliment. It was flawless Western breakfast. Utsumi really has some skills. This food was absolutely delicious. Perfectly browned toast, soft-boiled eggs that melt in your mouth, and a big serving of tuna salad. With a breakfast like this, one can't help but feel happy. Thank you, but make sure you chew your food properly, okay? Utsumi said gently to Yuni as he stuffed his face with food. When Hattori heard that, she nodded as if she had made up her mind about something. She chewed her food with a really serious look on her face. She just looked so cute I couldn't help but smile. Hattori looked confused by my reaction. The Hattori personality seems to be the type that doesn't betray emotions easily, but inwardly she seems like a good person. There's more, so just let me know if you want seconds, okay? Okay. Saying that, Utsumi pointed at a bowl with my tuna salad in it. Did you leave all the cucumbers? About that, I'm sorry, I don't really like cucumbers. Why? They're delicious. Yuni reached into my bowl and nonchalantly stuffed the cucumbers into his mouth. It has a sort of weird taste, don't you think? That's why I don't like it. Sorry for leaving them. If you didn't like them, you could have just told me. So you don't like pumpkin or cucumbers, right? Yeah, I don't dislike pumpkin, but you... Utsumi had an amazed look on her face, but then suddenly nodded as if she understood. Fuyukawa-san doesn't like cucumbers, and Yukido-kun doesn't like pumpkin. That's how it is. They say that with DID, taste and preference can also change. Yuni had a complicated look on his face when he heard that. Right now, the Kokoro personality's inside. That's right. He looked like he wanted to say something, but he bit into his toast as if trying to stop himself. Even though he didn't reject me entirely, he's probably still not willing to accept that there's a personality called Kokoro inside Satoru's body. Do you have anything else you don't like? If you tell me, I'll try not to use it. Let's see, I absolutely can't take things like pineapple and sweet and sour pork. When she heard my answer, Hattori nodded with a look of agreement on her face. Utsumi smiled and said, because Japanese cooking doesn't usually involve cooking fruit, it surprises people, right? That's right. Other than that, I'm okay with anything. Got it. And just like that, we finish our breakfast. I thought about things as I had my coffee after breakfast. What's happening at the shelter cabin right now? I was able to fill myself with such a delicious breakfast, and drink from a cup of coffee after the meal in the comfortable heated room. The people I'm with here are all kind people too. Even though it would be a different story if Inubushi Kaiko character ever emerged, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say this is a really peaceful place. On the other hand, they're trapped by an intense blizzard on that frigid mountain. They? Making that sound like someone else's problem caused a cold chill to run through my body. It's not someone else's problem. This is the reality, and even now that disaster is happening in the mountains is still affecting the body of Fuyukawa Kokoro. Perhaps at this very moment Fuyukawa's Kokoro's body is crumbling away. I should think of it as that urgent of a situation. What am I doing? I could just kick myself. This isn't the time to be relaxing and drinking coffee. Hey, is there a phone here? If I get hold of a phone, I can contact a rescue team and let them know about the survivors. There was a sign outside the shelter cabin that said Mount Akakura Emergency Shelter Cabin. It's probably a public facility, so then the mountain rescue team should know exactly where it is. But Utsumi and Hattori just looked at each other. We don't have a phone here. Not even a cell phone? Never mind cell phones, there isn't any way to contact others from here at all. How can that be? I stood up intentionally. This is SPHIA. It's not only a public medical center, it's also a self-supported facility. Not having any way to contact the outside world is... How about that? The computer's sitting right there. Utsumi shook her head. It's not physically connected to the outside. Not connected to the outside? Then where is it connected to? I'm not too certain of that myself. Assuming there's only a LAN set up here in SPHIA? But this is already more than 10 years into the 21st century. It's hard to believe there's still a computer that's not connected to the internet. I dashed to the living area. A PC was there. No, PC isn't quite accurate. The monitor, keyboard and mouse were there. But the body of the computer is nowhere to be seen, and the wires gradually disappear in the direction of the bed. I gripped the mouse and shook it. The PC, which had entered standby mode, resumed its breathing. Tell me it's a joke. Silently praying, I clicked on the icon to check network settings. It's alive, right? There was access to SPHIA's internal LAN, but it didn't connect to anywhere outside of it. Just to be sure, I opened the browser window, but it wasn't connected to the internet. The error, could not establish connection, was displayed on the screen. Utsumi and Hattori had come over and stood beside me. I turned around and screamed. Is there any other way to get in touch with the outside? I'm afraid not. There is a cargo ship that periodically visits this place, so you can send letters that way, but... When will it come? Probably in about a month. No way! The mouse slipped from my hand. Looking like a hanged rat, it swung like a pendulum from the side of the desk. Why do you need to contact someone? To report to the police that we're up there in the shelter cabin. I closed my mouth in the middle of the phrase. To explain the situation, I'll have to tell them everything about Fuyukawa Kokoro, who's in the shelter cabin, after the plane crash, and about the personality exchanges. Would they believe it? It makes me a touch anxious. Please don't be too shocked by what I'm about to tell you. Yeah, good luck with that. I mean, we are in a mental institute, so... I suppose she's used to hearing that kind of thing? I explained the personality exchange. I see. After my explanation was finished, Utsumi hugged me. She pulled my head to her breast. She believed me, I thought. But... This is a memory that dwells in you. Fuyukawa Kokoro, right? I raised my head. No, my real body is stranded on that mountain. This is an illusion created by the personality called Fuyukawa Kokoro. This case is rather strange, though. Usually in cases of DID, their existence of the other personality is unknown to the main personality. However, in rare cases, one personality will notice the presence of the other existences. In such a case, the alternate personality refuses to accept the dominant personality and tries to kill it, inflicting severe wounds on the body. The personality called Fuyukawa Kokoro that was born inside of Yukido-kun couldn't accept that it was an alternate personality. She dreamed up the illusion of that personality exchange, claiming that she was the dominant personality and has a body. Just show her the note. It's wrong, I really exist at Mount Akakura. That's right, because that personality, Fuyukawa Kokoro, was made by Yukido-kun to reproduce the Fuyukawa Kokoro-san who died in the plane crash. Claiming that her body is on Mount Akakura isn't that surprising. No, it's not like that. I've bitten my lip. She didn't believe me. Utsumi seemed like an expert in psychology. Of course, Utsumi's explanation is much more believable than something unrealistic like a personality exchange. Hattori-chan. I glanced hopefully at Hattori. She shook her head, her face slightly pale. Hattori also didn't believe me. And then I noticed, won't Yuni believe me? He experienced the crash together with me. Surely if we can make him believe that inside of Yukido Satoru dwells another personality, Fuyukawa Kokoro, then maybe he'll believe the personality exchange occurred. Where's Yuni? I think he went to his room. Thanks for hearing me out. Even if you don't believe it right now, it is the truth. Fuyukawa-san. I left the living area. Looking for Yuni, I went over to his room. And with that, we need to wrap this one up here, because we're out of time, once again. From the next one, I don't know why we don't just show her the note that he left. I mean, that doesn't prove it, I suppose. But that would explain how we know about each other, right? I don't fucking know. Anyway, thanks for watching, Bruce, and I'll see you in the next one.